Good morning from Port St. Lucie. This is Professor Trefero with Chinese History Overview, and this is Lesson 8. In Lesson 8, we're going to look at the contributions of the Qing Dynasty, and this is the final dynasty of Dynastic China. And after this dynasty, we're going to move into the 20th century China, which we will study in our next lesson. But let's get on with the Qing dynasty and their contributions. As the Ming dynasty fell, the Qing dynasty rose to power and took over the administration of Chinese economics and Chinese military. Unfortunately for China, the Qing were not as efficient as the Ming. Consequently, European powers began to make colonial movements towards China and their territories. Foremost among these colonial powers was the United Kingdom, which initiated the Golden Triangle. Now, for those of you who don't know what the Golden Triangle is, it's the drug trade, basically, which originated in UK, and the opium was grown in India, and it was transported from India to China. So this triangle made quite a bit of money for the East Asian Trading Company, which became so powerful it became more powerful than the Qing government. When you have billions of dollars to work with, and this drug trade created billions of dollars in the early 1800s, you're able to do just about anything you want as long as you have the money and the power. So the UK became dominant in China. They forced concessions from the Qing government. The Qing emperors and empresses, Empress Cixi at the end, was virtually helpless against the colonial powers, who combined their forces. England would cooperate with France. France would cooperate with Germany. Germany cooperated with Russia, and the United States even had a representation in Peking. There's a Hollywood movie called 55 Days at Peking, which illustrates the united structure of the colonial powers in China and how they overcame the Boxer Rebellion, which tried to get rid of the foreigners but was unsuccessful. In any event, the bottom line was that these foreign interventions and colonial interventions gradually weakened the structure of Chinese society. They weakened the structure of Chinese government. They made Confucianism and Taoism belief systems weak by infusing Christianity into a culture that did not want Christianity. And so consequently, the Chinese structure began to break down as far as the authority of the emperor over the people. The people began to realize, well, our government isn't that strong. It's the colonial powers that are strong. Chinese people are second-rate citizens in their own country. Foreigners are treated like royalty, and Chinese people are treated like slaves. This was unacceptable to the vast majority of the Chinese population, and eventually they came to the conclusion that at any cost, we have to get rid of the foreigners. We have to get rid of colonialism in China. And the first step of getting rid of colonialism in China was getting rid of the dynasty, getting rid of the empress, getting rid of dynastic China. And in 1911, there was a revolution in China that got rid of all remnants of dynastic China. there was no longer any government in China. It was total chaos. So, what took its place? What took its place was an unfortunate chain of events for both Chinese history and the world. Um, China actually tried democracy for a few years, but not democracy as we know it in the West, but democracy with Chinese characteristics. What that meant was that a very able-bodied leader named Sun Yat-sen and his general, Chiang Kai-shek, eventually gained control over the forces of the Qing government and tried to make China a semi-democracy. This did not work. And one of the reasons it did not work is that China had been under dynastic control for 4,000 years. When people are waiting for someone to tell them what to do for 4,000 years, it's difficult for them to transition into a democratic society. It's almost impossible for them to change the mindset that someone in authority needs to tell us what to do. And that's basically what Chinese society consisted of. Individuals who are waiting to be instructed on what to do. Sun Yat-sen and Chiang Kai-shek tried to fill this void by having a semi-authoritarian government, military control. They did a fairly decent job of controlling the cities, in the major cities in China, but they had absolutely no effect at all in the countryside in China, which was, in a chaotic situation. People were starving by the millions. People had no jobs, had no income, and it was a catastrophic situation. But this gave rise to the Chinese Communist Party, which was very attractive to the people in the countryside because they had nothing. And the current KMT, or Kuomintang, they were not responsive to the needs of the people in the countryside. So consequently, they responded to the Chinese Communist Party. But we will discuss that next time in the formulation of the Chinese Civil War, and this episode will be lesson 9. But for this lesson, we're looking at the effects of the Qing. As soon as the Qing disbanded, that was the end of dynastic rule in China and the beginning of so-called modern China. So until next time, this is Professor Tefero from Port St. Lucie, wishing you all a happy and healthy day, and I'll see you next time when we discuss 20th century China. Take care. Bye-bye.